If there's a common thread between tonight's 4 Leeds Rugby League Hall of Fame inductees, it's that they fall under the bracket of unsung heroes, appreciated first and foremost by those who lined up alongside them. There's never been a successful side without, at its very heart, those for whom selflessness for the cause and relentlessly and unflinchingly playing their part in it has been their principal role. Nights such as these give all present the rightful opportunity to truly recognise their enormous contribution and, at least temporarily, put aside the inductees' own natural reticence to shine in their deserved limelight.
On behalf of Leeds Rhinos and the Leeds Rhinos Players Association, can I welcome you all here to this another special occasion. It's the 10th Leeds Rhinos Hall of Fame and Special Anniversary Awards evening. That is indeed the highest honour that can be bestowed on any player that's played for Leeds over the years. Tonight we'll also remember and celebrate some key milestone events. 30 years ago, 1996, was the start of Super League and indeed Summer Rugby here at Headingley. 50 years ago, how many here were here 50 years ago when Leeds took on Featherstone Rovers in the Yorkshire Cup final and beat them as well? How many people were here for that game 50 years ago? Quite a few hands going up, yeah? And how many were here 90 years ago in 1936? Because in 1936, I'm sure you can all remember, Leeds beat Warrington in the Rugby League Challenge Cup final at Wembley. To tell you more about that, I'd like to call on my co-host, another member of the Leeds Players Association Committee, Jamie Jones-Buchanan.
Thank you, Gary. Good evening, and an added warm welcome to everybody to what should be an outstanding event. The room's full, the family is in, and we've got plenty of memorabilia and artefacts, and ultimately the people that matter inside this room. And it's really interesting, actually. We love these events, and we like to commemorate, celebrate our history and great heritage at this club. And our Players Association bring the people that are involved in those moments so that they can tell that story, and it's so important. And also it's important to recognise that this is an ecosystem. So a lot of the funds that get raised tonight end up back with our Rugby League development plan in our foundation, through our foundation. Looking at Sammy Horner in there, there's Danny Maguire walking around. They're investing heavily into our youth. I just came back from Butlins this morning. Who've been to Butlins? I know there's been a few, haven't there? How good's Butlins? If you've never been, all right, it's like Vegas in Skegness. It's awesome, and everybody that's been loves it. I don't like numbers. I'm not bothered about numbers. I'm bothered about people. But let me just read a few out for you. 354 rugby league teams, 65 referees. We're doing our best to educate refs, all right? We try and stick with us. We've got 1,200 rugby league fixtures. We've got 9 presentations, 15 player and legend appearances. A lot of our players, current players, ex-players go down there, inspire the young people. 50 rugby league pitches over 2 weekends. That's amazing. That's our foundation. That's what they do, and they've done it for 13 years. It's not an accident. It's nearly a decade and a half of real hard work. Could we have a round of applause for Gareth Cook and people like Sam Horner who do this? Right then, it wouldn't be fair, would it, without a little welcome and a word from the great man himself, my predecessor in Bramley, who sent us a message all the way from Australia in Perth. He was the latest inductee of the Hall of Fame back in November. We got him in there before he left, and what a wonderful occasion that was. And he just wanted to send you a few words. It wouldn't be the same without a message from Roy Dickinson.
So, and as it's tonight's Hall of Fame dinner, I just want to say this because I don't know what happened last year. I got introduced into the Hall of Fame. And sprung it on me, and I was in a state of shock. I was so surprised. I never knew what the hell was happening. And I don't know if I said sorry. I'm sorry if I didn't say thank you or anything like that, because I didn't know where I was folks from, you know. So thank you very much if I didn't say anything. It's a great honour for me. I appreciate that. I never thought I'd get into the Hall of Fame. Just a local lad who wanted to play for Leeds, realised his ambitions, and it's quite easy for me in all them games because I'm surrounded by so many great players, world-class players who made my life easy.
There are a few people who wanted to be here tonight but couldn't be, and they've shared with us their special memories of the Super League over the last 30 years. If you look at the screens now.
30 years of Super League, I think it's really hard to summarise it in such a short space of time, but my early memories were of the 1998 inaugural Grand Final. So Leeds v Wigan, Leeds were in the final, and we'd just won the Academy Championship. The Academy Grand Final the week before, and we were fortunate enough to come and do a lap of honour at Old Trafford during the half-time break. It was at that point, you know, I just wished we'd be good enough to come back as a player to experience what it was like to play in a Grand Final, and thankfully we got that opportunity a number of years later in 2004 when we went on and were able to win that first one. And we get asked a lot about, you know, which Grand Final was your favourite. They were all really special, but that 2004 one when we did it for the first time was just a great occasion.
Hello everybody, I hope everybody's well. Sorry for the setting we find ourselves in, but that you can blame Jamie Jones for that. He sent me a message asking me to send a video to try and capture my time at the Rhinos during the Super League period. And I told him I'd get onto it, and then literally 12 hours later he said, well, come on, send the video. So here we are. We're away at Central Coast at the moment, and we've got the Roosters tonight, so I'm doing this on game day for you, Jonesy. And he's tried to limit me to 30 seconds, and I'm looking at the clock and I've already spent 38 seconds speaking, so I failed already, Jonesy. I'll try and keep this nice and brief. We all know we're going through something special. At the time, we all knew we was going through something special at the time with the Rhinos. You don't really realise how special that is until after the event. And when we look back, how fortunate I was. I just feel very fortunate and very privileged to be involved with the group. I was there from the start of the golden generation in 2004 when I was assistant coach to Tony Smith, who was the driver behind it all. And then I was fortunate enough to coach the team a few years later, and yeah, we had such a good time. 2015 would have to be the highlight, where we won all 3 trophies. But the really special moment for me was 2011, where we was under the pump and we wasn't going that well, but we won the competition at the end. And we had a few detractors and we had a few people who would doubt. But the biggest story for me is how supportive the club was through that period, in particular to myself. And you know, that 2011 year was special because we won the Grand Final, but how we won it from 5th and all the support that we had leading up to that moment, that epitomises the Rhinos. And I feel a very privileged individual to have ever been part of any of that. Hope you're all well. Enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Hi everyone, hope you're having a great night there. Apologies can't be there. I'm heading off to new adventures far away. But I did want to send a message and reflect on my time, particularly at Leeds Rhinos, and my time in this beautiful country. And you know, I've nothing but great memories of my time at Leeds Rhinos, and you know, arguably the highlights of some of my time here. And you know, they certainly helped my career. I had some of the successes early on in my career, and that was down to being involved with the Leeds Rhinos, and the great people that were involved had a big part of that. And fortunately I remain good friends with many of them and made some great people that I'll remember for life, and they helped me develop as a person and as a coach, but as a human being, and I'm very grateful for that. But I wish you all well, and I'll thank you, and I'll come back and visit in years to come. And I always feel like I leave a little bit behind, and part of the Leeds Rhinos family. So good night.
If there's a common thread between tonight's 4 Leeds Rugby League Hall of Fame inductees, it's that they fall under the bracket of unsung heroes, appreciated first and foremost by those who lined up alongside them. There's never been a successful side without, at its very heart, those for whom selflessness for the cause and relentlessly and unflinchingly playing their part in it has been their principal role. Happy to leave glory to others whose names may roll more readily off the pages of history. Nights such as these give all present the rightful opportunity to truly recognise their enormous contribution and, at least temporarily, put aside the inductees' own natural reticence to shine in their deserved limelight. We are especially honoured to have with us the relatives of the first two, so not only can we pay fitting tribute and place the names of their loved ones on our own Mount Olympus, but are able to properly record their deeds and perpetuate their memories. We also pay homage tonight to Gordon Brown, who was inducted in 2024 and passed away this year aged 95, the last member of Great Britain's inaugural World Cup winning side of 1954. The Hall of Fame was instituted on the back of assigning every Leeds player who has entered the field a heritage number. It was always intended that this would be a work in progress as new information came to light. And most recently, we have added Fred Poole from Ulverston, who it was discovered played once in 1897. Such research is the essence of heritage and why it matters. Those who are eligible for induction into the Hall of Fame, some 10% of the total of currently 1,513 players to have pulled on a Leeds shirt, Jack Bird the latest, and which is a truly remarkable ratio, are deemed exceptional. It is based upon a much discussed and rigorously debated 4 criteria, the most demanding of any such concept, all of which must be met for a player to be deemed worthy of being acknowledged as a rugby league immortal here at Headingley. They are: played a minimum of 150 first-team games for Leeds, achieved representative honours during their playing career here, have made an outstanding contribution to the sport, and been retired for a minimum of 5 years or sooner if under exceptional circumstances. To date, the Hall of Fame has 37 members, and so to the 2026 inductees. It's one thing signing the greatest winger the club has ever snared, quite another to ensure that he has the supply line he needs to be at his destructive best. Leeds turned to Lee, playing a club record equalling fee of £1,200 in early 1935, having sold Jeff Moores for his replacement, who went on to prove that he was much more than just the perfect foil, frequently initiating enthralling passages of play of his own. The left-sided combination were at their brilliant best as the Loiners made Wembley for the first time 90 years ago and dismantled Warrington 18-2 in front of a record crowd of over 50,000 in the capital. It was his try that made the headlines. The Sunday Pictorial reporting, 3 of Leeds' tries were really brilliant efforts. One scored in the first half brought the house down. He went through at a tremendous pace, feinted to pass to Eric Harris, who was crowded on the touchline, punted over the fullback, caught the ball before it bounced, and crossed the line for, as another contemporary article concluded, as fine a try as Wembley will see. Their trademark attacking move became the dummy scissors. Such was their combined potency. Defences mesmerised as to who was to pose the ultimate threat. Best illustrated in the 1936 quarter-final at Hull, where he crossed for the decisive score, and then again in the semi-final when Huddersfield was similarly bamboozled, when this time he sent in Eric. Recommended by Leeds skipper and England co-centre Jim Brough, he had come through the ranks at Mather Lane, having signed from amateurs West Leigh Rex, making his professional debut on the 1st of November 1930 against Featherstone. Ironically, his last Leeds appearance coming 15 years later against the same foe. Called up by England to face the 1933 Kangaroos, he scored the winning try in a 1914 victory at Gateshead in front of over 15,000 fans to illustrate his pedigree And after the Lathers spurned initial Leeds advances, he faced Jean Gallier's French pioneers, sending his winger Alf Ellaby over for 4 tries in a 32-16 triumph at Wilderspool. The Loiners finally got their man before the cup deadline, making his debut at home to Bramley on the 2nd of February 1935 in a 25-3 success. His first 2 tries coming in another big Headingley win over Hull in late March. The following season saw him blossom, lodging 15 tries and the side only defeated once whenever he crossed the whitewash, retaining the Yorkshire Cup on their way to Wembley glory. His form was such that he was called up to the 1936 Ashes tour and looked superb in his opening game against Southern Division at Leeton, posting 2 early tries before being forced to withdraw with a badly broken collarbone, which meant he was unable to claim a deserved test spot. A further Yorkshire Cup and 2 Yorkshire League successes followed, the 1938-39 season seeing him go over for 17 tries, including his sole hat-trick away at York, but he was denied a second Wembley trip that season when Halifax triumphed in the Cup semi-final at Odsal. The war years meant he only made occasional appearances, his last in early 1945, seeing him suffer a broken jaw. A miner and stonemason by profession, he joined the Headingley ground staff and coached the A-team from 1945 to 48 before moving into the licensing trade in Bradford, returning to live in St Michael's Lane and in the 1970s for a short while becoming the Loiners kit man. The 38th inductee is Fred Harris, heritage number 548, 199 appearances between 1935 and 1945.
And Alan will be presenting the Silver Salver for the Hall of Fame, and we're delighted to be joined here tonight by 2 of Fred's grandchildren, his grandson Andrew Fernley and his granddaughter Julie Parr. Andrew has travelled all the way from Australia to be with us here tonight, so please give them a round of applause as they come to the stage.
Seeing his name on the team sheet brought sighs of relief from Leeds fans, safe in the knowledge that even before the advent of formal tackle counts, he'd top it, and there would be no, often characteristic, soft underbelly in the side. Originally signed as a makeweight in a deal to capture his St John Fisher teammate David Healy, who asked if his pal could come along as well, he turned out to be a revelation. Coming through the Colts at the time of the Aussie invasion at Leeds in 1984, he immersed himself into learning as much as he could from established stars such as Wally Fullerton-Smith, Trevor Patterson and Gavin Jones, gleaning what it took to be a professional player while still training to become a plasterer. It was obvious, even from his early displays, that he was among the fittest players of his generation and quickly became one of the best liked. The epitome of the gentle giant, unassuming and quiet, so that he seldom received the wider credit that his tireless efforts deserved. It was sometimes said that his lack of overt aggression, especially when he moved up to prop, held him back, but 19 caps for his country would indicate otherwise and underlined his value, so often undertaking the toughest toil, whichever side he played in, and which made him so valued. Unquestionably doing everything asked of him by any coach, he was an 80-minute performer and also a magnificent ambassador for the sport. Articulate, caring, a role model in the truest sense. Great Britain teams looked incomplete without him, with his dedicated approach to training and touring almost as big an asset as his appetite for work on the field. His approachability also made him one of the most popular senior players with younger hopefuls coming into the squad, who he was always eager and willing to help develop their own abilities. He remains one of the few players to have tasted international victory home and away against all the leading rugby league nations, most notably in Sydney in 1988 after a 10-year Lions wait for victory, and at Wembley in the Ashes 2 years later, when he helped turn the tables on a much-vaunted Aussie pack. Plus, he appeared in all 9 tests on the 1988 and 90 Lions tours. Possibly his finest performance for the Loiners was in a 1-point defeat in the 1987-88 John Player final, when he ran himself ragged against St Helens in a majestic display. It was a travesty that he was on the losing side that afternoon at Central Park. He was a vital part of Leeds' Yorkshire Cup winning side under Malcolm Reilly the following year, and later at Batley won the Trans-Pennine Cup. There was shock and despair when he left Headingley for Bradford, but one of his staunchest fans, Peter Fox, took him wherever he went to build his pack around, saying of him, he was a smashing lad who would do anything for anybody. On the field, he would forage forever. Whenever you needed him, he was there. He was a fantastic worker, but he could also release the ball. It was his offloading ability that was so often underrated. His passing while training at Rochdale, aged only 33 in January 1999, where he was set to become a player assistant coach, was a desperate tragedy. His funeral service attracting hundreds to the church in Tong, many of the sport's greatest names standing outside in the snow merely to pay their respects. The 39th inductee is Roy Powell, heritage number 1129.
Again making the tackle. Well, we're not taking a tackle count up here, but I should think Roy Powell is miles ahead of any other player on the Leeds side.
Roy Powell. 3 men to bring him down. What a break by Roy Powell. Makes a superb run, selling dunners on the way, pushing people off. Puts Ettenhauser away and he takes his time in setting up Gibson.
Well, Well, Roy, a great match this afternoon and a fine performance by yourself. You're really playing well. You've obviously benefited from your tour to Australia this summer.
Yes, Dave. I think we're all feeling a bit jaded. We haven't quite got into the pattern that we'd hoped we'd get into so far in the season, but things are starting to go well now for the final next Sunday.
And to receive the award, Roy's wife Helen's with us, and Roy's children Lewis and Melissa. Welcome to the stage, guys. Helen, just quickly, obviously, we thought the world of Roy. You must be very proud. Treasured memories, those.
I am, yeah, and it's brought back a lot of memories coming back. Yeah, lucky now.
Okay, it's lovely to see you all. David, he was a top man, wasn't he? And like I say, we all thought the world of Roy. You coached him, just a great guy.
Well, first of all, Phil, you did a fantastic job there, mate. Talking about his rugby league career and then seeing it on film like that, I can't add to that. And everybody in the audience is rugby league minded. You've seen a great legend there, haven't you? And you've seen a great family in front of you right now. But obviously, thanks very much, yeah. I can't say enough. And let me just say this one as well, to congratulate, and there might be people in the audience, the supporters club, allegedly, not allegedly, this is a true fact, is grave. People from the Leeds Rugby League Club supporters club, on Roy's birthday, they come and attend to his grave every year, and tidying it up and putting some flowers on. And I think that says it all, for the respect that this guy's father and wife have gone. Okay, it's a pleasure.
Brilliant,
it's a pleasure.
David.
I know him.
A Hall of Fame inductee, Roy Powell, and the lovely Powell family. Thank you, David. Thank you, Gary.
Some are naturally talented, and that gets them by. Others work strenuously to make the very best of what they have, and tend to achieve greater success and longevity. From a big rugby league playing family from Dewsbury, he was snapped up from Celtic by Doug Lawton as part of the newly instituted apprenticeship scheme at Leeds. He remembers St John Fisher was the junior club of Dewsbury Celtic, and we had the likes of Roy Powell and Derek Fox come through there. They were big heroes of mine. A standoff as a youngster, he quickly graduated to the Leeds first team on the wing and could also cover centre and fullback, making his debut in 1993 in a 42-6 win over Hull KR at Headingley as a 16-year-old. His first touch saw his nose broken by Bright Sodji. His next took him over for a try, the first of two, the second with what was to become a trademark weaving effort from distance. Relishing the new full-time environment, he announced himself on the biggest stage at the end of that season, aged 17 years and 200 days, becoming and still is the youngest player ever to feature in a Challenge Cup final. Although Leeds were beaten by Wigan in their first Wembley final for 16 years, it was a game he memorably scored in, outpacing his future Leeds coach Dean Bell for a length of the field special. He was back at the Cup final the following year, and in 1998, his hat-trick in the playoff decider against St Helens secured Leeds' passage to the inaugural Grand Final at Old Trafford. Retaining his dignity and principles in the face of financial implosion at Widnes, Bradford and Wakefield as a head coach, he is currently looking after the next generation coming through at Hull. I like to do something to develop players. I still love rugby league and remain passionate about the game. It's been a huge part of my life, he maintains. The 40th inductee is Francis Cummings, heritage number 1247.
And the 17-year-old youngster making history, the youngest player ever to play here at Wembley, Francis Cummings.
Number 1, Francis Cummings.
we know just what we are. 'Cause we know just what we are. 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 Know just what we are.
Now then, Francis Cummings, the 17-year-old. Will he have something to remember his first Wembley with? He's been tracked by Dean Bell, but he makes it. Oh, a wonderful try. But it's also a bit sharp cross, isn't it?
Can I ask Barry McDermott to join me on stage to induct our latest inductee into the Leeds Rugby League Hall of Fame, Francis Cummins. It's obviously great to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, I think it's for someone who supported the club when I was young, and obviously didn't see any success with Leeds when I was supporting them. I didn't see the Yorkshire Cup final in '88. I couldn't go, and that was part of the problem really. There were pictures around the club of all these great players who had won things at '78 team, and no one had done it since. I was very lucky. I'm so lucky that I was born into the family. Born into I've got the parents who I've got. I bumped into some great coaches along the way as well, particularly before I come to Leeds, but they're all linked within the pro game. So Trevor Allroyd, David Ward, John Maloney. So we're really blessed with that, having those. And then obviously I signed for Leeds and got this opportunity, and I think downstairs I'm stood at the door with my bag and I'm looking around this room, and I was talking to some of the old academy lads, and they're asking about how it was. And you just do it, don't you, as a kid? You just turn up and they go, right, you're playing, and you're in, and off you go. I want to probably have had children of my own and thinking the age of it's a bit crazy, but I was trying to explain to them, because you know this generation, if it's not on TikTok, they don't know it, do they? So I'm trying to explain how big a name Gary Schofield, Ellery Hanley. I'm stood there in the corner. I still, when I think of it, it still makes me nervous. I'm stood there with my kit bag and there's only one space left. They've all sat round and they're all stars. And there's one space next to Ellery Hanley. I thought, I can't go sit there. Anyway, he beckoned me over and I sat next to him for 2 years, and it was just a dream come true.
Well, we'll make sure we put some of them videos on TikTok for you lads over at Hull.
Yeah,
So
no, you're right
you
there.
can start boasting in the academy room. Franny, fantastic seeing the Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Francis Cummings.
Thank you.
There was a very real possibility that this astonishing story might never have been told. Plagued with serious groin injuries as a promising youngster, his career took off when Tony Smith arrived at Headingley in 2004. Up until that point, he had made only 5 starts since breaking into the first team 5 years earlier. Throughout my 4 years at Headingley, I watched him grow and blossom as a player and a person, and I can't speak highly enough of him, says Smith. He is also something of a genuine character, as anyone who has seen him entertain an audience with a microphone at numerous functions will testify. He illustrated his distinctive perspective on the game when playing prop for Leeds City Boys under-13s against Hull in 1993, dropping a goal for no apparent reason mid-game to the laughing astonishment of his teammates. The side subsequently winning 29-28. When the golden generation crop came through, he was most often the unassuming shy one in the background, another indication of how his transformation as a person has flourished, and majorly by Ali Lawatiti's arrival. He came on from the bench in the grand final against Bradford Bulls when the Rhinos secured the Super League crown in 2004. Going on to be named a World Club champion in early 2005, joyously scoring at Ellen Road, another spiritual home for him. In 2007, he was an ever-present for the Rhinos, and his impressive season culminated in scoring a try in the grand final win over St Helens. The following year, he was once again recognised for his achievements by being named in the national squad for the 2008 World Cup in Australia. In total, he made 14 appearances for England and 1 for Great Britain. Even after he made it, there were setbacks, but he devoted himself to turning them into positives, most notably in 2015, when a severe knee injury ruled him out of the treble-winning side. But he remained a pivotal member of it, taken by best friend Kevin Sinfield up the Wembley steps to jointly receive the cup. He was a vital part of Brian McDermott's Scrappers that turned Leeds from fighting relegation in 2016 to grand final winners the year after, scoring 3 tries in 30 games during that rejuvenating season. Announcing his retirement in 2019, he made 9 appearances that year, scoring a try against Salford in his penultimate game before running out at Headingley for the last time to face Warrington and kicking his only conversion, leaving with 7 grand final rings, 1 Challenge Cup winners medal, 2 League Leaders Shields and 3 World Club Challenge successes. Yorkshire Day born, he was awarded the MBE in the 2022 New Year's Honours List for his services to Rugby League and his outstanding contribution to his local community. He's sat on the RFL board as an observer and been chair of their inclusion board, together with a high-profile media career. His astonishing story is at the start of its next chapter. The first person in the history of sport to go from avid fan to world-class player, to interim head coach, to foundation trustee, to Rhinos Director of Culture, Diversity, Inclusivity, to now Chief Executive, while also keeping a proud eye on the progress of his 4 sons. The 41st inductee is Jamie Jones-Buchanan, MBE. ...421 appearances between 1999 and 2019, and again, we have the pleasure of watching everything that he did.
I think I'm 1309, 1,309th player to have represented this great club, and I don't think there'll be many players within that time that's played with as many players as I have over the last 20 years as well. It's been wonderful, and with all the successes and some of the adversity as well, I think it's the people that you play with that you really treasure. That's where the real gratification, and being able to do it in front of my hometown fans in my home city of Leeds is been a dream come true, and been a real privilege. And 20 years in, nearly done, nearly finished, coming to the end of my career, it's been a wonderful experience.
Jamie Jones once more, through Blake Green, brilliant try from Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Oh, he's lost it inside, and it is Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Burrow short ball to Jamie Jones. Jamie Jones-Buchanan for Leeds. It's one of the most popular beards in rugby league, that. Gerald Moon, back it comes to Hall.
time in smoky rooms where good old women with cheap perfume say it never happens for people like us, you know. Nothing ever happened on its own. And while the toilet smells of desperation, the streets soul echo of aggravation. You wonder why you can't get no sleep when you've got nothing to do and you've had nothing to eat. Your life's slipping and sliding right out of view, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do. Well, we'll live and die in these towns. Don't let it drag you down, don't let it drag you down now. We'll live and die in these.
What a night.
Wow, yeah. I was Phil Daly, by the way. I think he's captured every good clip that I had right in a 22-year career in that 90 seconds highlight reel. It's amazing how good you can make yourself look, isn't it? Listen, I wasn't the best player, but I played with some unbelievable superstars. And I think there's been a narrative captured, hasn't there, about commitment. I think the one word that sticks out to me tonight was commitment, and it's been quite overwhelming, actually, listening back to some of the inductees. Obviously, I didn't know Fred Harris, he was a long time ago, but Roy Powell was the first person to give me an autograph when I came up here as a young kid coming from Stanley on a Saturday, and I was the first person in my family to watch Rugby League, so I had no kits. I just used to come up with my mates, and I had a blue and amber Umbro top. I think it was a Celtic top, actually, Glasgow Celtic. That was the closest thing I could find. And I came and I watched Leeds in that, watched my heroes, you know, Scoey, Ellery, Kevin Iro, Alan Tate, Jim Fallon, and every time I see them, and I'm sort of blown away, as you can imagine. And then Roy gave me that autograph as a kid. I knew what I wanted to be. I saw my boyhood heroes, inspired, educated, and entertained. And then you listen to Franny there talking about the humility, the selflessness that he had. If I'd seen what it was to be a Rhino or a Leeds player from Roy, then it was even more so from Franny in that team where he didn't get picked, but decided to do what was the right thing for the team, and that humility. And then listening to Phil Kaplan there talking about 5 years, man, 5 years, playing 5 games, horrendous groin injuries. But I think, you know, that really refined me, and that refined this fire. Taught me what persistence was all about, resilience, just turning up. And I learnt from 2 of the best here as well, by the way, of what resilience looks like. But I just wanted to play for Leeds, mate. I just wanted to play for Leeds. I love Leeds. I always will do. I think you'll all know that. And yeah, commitment would be the key word. I think 2 people I'd really like to thank would be Gary Heverington and Paul Caddick to start with. I think there's maybe 4 lions on the front of the Leeds Town Hall, right? And there's 2 big ones that sort of sit either side of the big steps, and I think as them as the gatekeepers that built this facility, built this environment, this culture that allowed us to come and do what we did over those nearly 3 decades. And there's some real treasure, isn't there? Some memories that we picked up on, and even better than that, I think, you know, they polished the patina on what was a historical institution in Leeds Rugby League Club, allowed us to create events like this to recognise those shoulders on which we stand, to quote Phil Kaplan, and then to do things like the Rob Leeds Marathon, you know, the Rhinos Challenge, to keep giving back, paying forward. And I guess the reason why we do it, and I've sat in every seat as Phil's articulated there, you know, our fans, number one. Big thank you to everybody that's turned up who supports us. There's some real faces, loyal faces, whether it's house stand or you're upstairs in the boxes. We don't always have the answers, but the answers are usually in the stadium. It's a big amphitheatre, isn't it? And we all feed into that rising tide. Some of the staff are amazing. We've got the best team, haven't we? And I think what's really stood out tonight is the mosaic of voices from Phil, from Rob, from Phil Kaplan, and, you know, the way our Heritage Committee tips in there, and our Players Association, Phil Holmes, just phenomenal. And lastly, the players, these friends of mine, you know, I won't mention Kevin and Rob. I think, you know, they speak for themselves. They're in a stratosphere. I think when they build hospitals and run marathons and raise the levels of money that they do, it's just another level of inspiration. But just really, obviously, quickly looking at Danny Maguire, I only have to look at his face, right, and we have an emotional connection. I know what he's thinking, what he's feeling, where he wants me to run, what he wants me to do or not say. And I love having him back. It takes a lot of time being refined in that fire with those blokes to get that level of spiritual connection. And JP, to illustrate how intense he is, he texted me this week. We all still get connected, and people say, "Do you miss rugby play?" No, I don't miss playing that much actually, because we're still fighting battles just in different arenas. But he texted me this week and went, "Rob Budolly's marathon next year, and he's mixing up." He says, "Tell you what, we're going to do it, and I want to get 7 lads, and we're all going to do it with a fridge on our back." So I've read it, and I thought, "Oh, blue ticks come up now. He's going to know I've read this." And he says, like, "Can I count on you?" And I'm like, commitment. That's what brought us the trophies. That was the level that we went to. So I'll turn up. I'll have a go. I'm a bit disappointed. I think he's getting soft actually, because it was one of those fridges that size of a washing machine. Like, I reckon a few years ago they'd gone for them double-chested fridge freezers. You know what I mean? I think he's getting soft, but I think that illustrates the calibre of human beings that I was fortunate to be surrounded by for nearly 30 years.
Outstanding as always. That is true. Just on that. Hang on a minute. That is true, and we will be knocking on your doors for sponsorship. 7 people with the fridge running the marathon next year. These 2 of them. Word from you, Danny, about the teammate that was Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Outstanding teammate.
Outstanding teammate. I couldn't think of a more worthy recipient, to be honest with you. I think he bleeds blue and amber. If you cut him open right now, he'd fall apart and there'd be blue and amber everywhere. Passionate, caring, but his best trait for me was his competitiveness. We had some rucks, didn't we, in training? We used to fight and argue, but we cared and we wanted to win. And the ultimate teammate, loved playing alongside him, and he deserves his night tonight.
And Jay, he was often described as the glue that held the golden generation together, but he was so much more than that, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was so much more than that. Jones, I'm the same, absolutely made up for you. I can't think of anyone more deserving for it. As a teammate, you were the best teammate, mate. You were intense, you were courageous, you were gutsy. And you know, whatever we did, you were all in on it, you were redlining it, and they're the best teammates you want to play alongside, those selfless ones. But I think for you, Jones, as well, I just want to talk about you as a man to everybody and as a human being. I think maybe when you came at this club, I think this club and the people around you provided you with direction and purpose, early on in your life. And I think you've grown so much over the last 25 years, testament to you as a person, that you're the person now who's providing the direction and purpose for the club. And I think that speaks volumes for you as a person. And I think you're an amazing family person. You're incredibly compassionate. You're a deep thinker about things. And I think you just give a shit about things. You absolutely give a shit about doing the right thing. And I can't think of a better person to take this club forward, Jones. I'm so made up for you. Really pleased for you.
And just whilst we've got 2 of his amazing teammates in, we've got a couple of messages from 2. The first one was done when Jamie retired, and you'll understand that, and then take a look at this.
I feel like I've been on the journey with Jonesy right from day one. A couple of years older than me, but I've been involved in my time at the first team right through with Jonesy, and what can I say which probably hasn't already been said about him. A real competitor, doesn't like losing, will win at any cost, and them are the sort of players you need for the guys to do the finesse and the silky bits you see outside. But without somebody like Jamie Jones, them things don't become available. Jonesy is one of the most thorough people I've ever come across. Absolutely lovely man, tough as nails, but absolutely gentleman off the pitch. He's had a massive impact to me. He was always one of the guys who had my back when I got a little bit too cheeky during games, but Jonesy was always there. And I would say some people become teammates, but some people remain friends for life, and he's certainly one of them guys who you'll keep in touch with till he looks like Morgan Freeman. Absolute massive legacy. He's the Leeds lad who fulfilled his dream and played for his hometown club, and from the local club, for him to come here and be remembered as a legend of the club is something he should be really proud of. I'm certainly proud to have been part of his journey with him. Top guy, top player. What more can you say?
Hi,
I hope you are all having a fantastic evening. I'm so disappointed I can't be with you tonight, but I just want to pass on my congratulations to Jamie Jones-Buchanan, the guy whose name is too long and he doesn't have a song. Mate, congratulations. I'm absolutely delighted for you. So well deserved. You've had a wonderful playing career. We met a long time ago playing against each other, but at 16 playing for England schoolboys and then playing together every week at the Rhinos, became such great friends. I'm so pleased for you, mate. I'm so happy. I know how much the club and Leeds means to you, and yeah, I'm sure Emma and all the boys are so proud of what you've achieved. The Hall of Fame is a better place having you in it, mate, and keep doing what you do. Have a great evening and keep smiling. Take care, bud.
Special night.
It's amazing. Success leaves clues, and I've been surrounded by the best. Kev would say you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So you can imagine going into a changing room, sat next to this fella here, listening to his wisdom for 10 minutes. He leaves, and then Kev would walk in, and then Magsy would go, "This lot are having it, let's go get them." And just surrounded by amazing people. There's maybe 2 more that I'd like to mention, if I may, just before we finish. One, Phil Kaplan mentioned him, Ali Lawatiti. Came over from New Zealand 2004, took me to church. That changed my life. My faith is the most important thing in my life, my foundation spiritually. And my wife Emma as well, she's been there since I was 14 years old, and through all those hardships, those perseverance, and the people that mean the most to me, my 4 boys and my wife, they've been through thick and thin with me. So thank you for being there as well for me, and I really appreciate it. And thank everybody who belong to the Rhinos family. Cheers.
Ladies and gents, our final inductee this evening. Put your hands together for one more time. Jamie Jones-Buchanan.